Hello, my name is Sebastian Reiner. This is my informative for public speaking. I have a broken nose, so I'm going to sound a little stuffy. I might rush through more things, but just bear with me here. The first 911 call was not made hundreds of years ago. It was made rather recently, which is a surprising concept for many people. As the 911 call is this common thing. It's taught to everybody. It was made not in the 1950s, not in the 1940s, but 1968. That is the first year. That is not the first year, but that is the year Apollo 8 traveled around the moon. I know. So let's rewind a little bit. The EMS system is not as modern as many people think, and it has gone through many changes over the years. The first EMS system that was ever made was in the Civil War era. It was made by the father of battlefield medicine, who is this man, of course, Dr. Letterman. Kind of seeing this is my first visual aid. Dr. Letterman is the I'll keep holding it up here a little bit. He is the father of battlefield medicine. He was the one that was the first to be like, why don't we just put our medicine right next to the battlefield and rush in there and immediately help out? And that kind of set the cornerstone of what the EMS system is above anything else, we are here to help out. And that is what we keep striving to do. And that is something that I feel like continues with each iteration of the EMS system. While it can change and evolve, it's still the core values of we will help no matter what, no matter what's happening, no matter what sun or shine. The EMS and EMTs and paramedics are here to help. And so, jumping quickly right over to my second visual aid, we have a timeline. Now, the EMS system first started in the 1800s, but it's not the very modern EMS system as we have. And the first changes of the EMS system that we have right now and the training started with the Freedom House. Now, that I talked about in an earlier speech, so, shameless plug. Go and watch that one. Not my best work. But the Freedom House is a fascinating start for the EMS system because it was started by a rather African American crew who this was surprising to me as I was doing more research, was working with the father, the I just the man, the myth, the legend himself, the dude who created the CPR, the thing that is everybody knows. He was working with them and giving them the practice, showing them what to do, and the very interesting part of the Freedom House was one is that it was mostly African Americans, but two was that a lot of them were people who hadn't had jobs in a while. They were your local person. They were the dude you would go and have a drink with. They were just their every man, and they would help out no matter what. And these were many individuals who maybe had a criminal history, and that continues that same idea of like helping out your community no matter what happened in the past, no matter what you're going to do in the future. You're here right now to help with your people. And I think that's very special to me. Continuing on past the Freedom House buses, the U.S. government looked back on this one. We need that now. That works beautifully, and they copied the training, the paramedic level, the cooperation between the hospital and the paramedics and the callers on the scene, which was wild for the time because normally the people that would be going out on the calls were anybody and everybody. I mean, it was people. It was like if I remember correctly, it was funeral services. It was they were grabbing everybody and anybody for it. I mean, the old ambulances had a splint for your leg and then an out and then a bourbon for the pain, and that's how they transported you. But that changed when they first established the first set of rules. Now, the EMS system would go into many variations over that time. It would add in various laws and regulations. It would help figure out what's the training, what's the equipment that each paramedic and each EMT gets, and that cooperation would involve. And in the modern age, that continues. Looking past the EMS system is something widely different than it was before. It's something beautiful. And it's something that has continued to evolve and change. But the core principle of it is to help and serve the people in your community. And that's something I find the most beautiful with the EMS system is while it may have changed and while we may have shifted and turned and pivoted, that's continued. And that's something I find beautiful with the EMS system. But in the modern age, one major change has continued. The major change that has become like the cornerstone of like the modern EMS system is the introduction of permanent tourniquets. Now that might seem like a wild idea. Tourniquets, they're the thing you put on a bleeding wound to stop the bleeding. But originally, there was always up for discussion about whether or not the tourniquet was to stay in place, and that fully changed with Columbine. With Columbine, tourniquets weren't in the jurisdiction, and because of that, there was many bleeding out or hemorrhages, and those hemorrhages could have been prevented very easily with the tourniquet. So once Columbine happened, the regulation, the party that controls, not the party, but the government body that controls the regulation added in the tourniquet. And while it might be dark to look past, it's good to remember that the core system of the EMS is to continue to help and serve your community no matter what. No matter who you were in the past, if you were a veteran, if you're an ex-con, or not even if you're an ex-con, but if you had like a criminal history, but to continue to help your people no matter what. And I think that's beautiful. That's my speech. Thank you. It didn't stop.